All right. Let's see if we can get through this.
All right.
Live from Kentucky and Louisiana, two Marines, one mission. This is Sense and Senseless. From the hills to the bayou, stories collide. Brothers in arms, now we're side by side. Sense and senseless, we cut through the noise. Two Southern Marines with that rebel voice. Grab a seat, pour a drink, let's make some sense. Or none at all, it just depends. Sense and senseless.
All right. Welcome back to Sense and Senseless. I'm Brian.
And I'm Yeehaw Jason. What's up?
He is Jason. Welcome back this week. All right, so what we're going to talk about this week? Let's see. We got the war in Iran. We're going to give you some background on why these people may hate us so much. We're going to talk about warmonger Lindsey Graham, where all your time goes, and also have an interesting makeshift weapon I found that we'll go over at the end. It's a pretty cool weapon. But let's start with this show with the recent relocations of some of the Trump administration. I don't know if you saw that. They recently reported that Pam Bondi has moved into some military housing. This is for her protection. This adds to the list. They got Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and Stephen Miller. They're all living in military housing now. And they're saying it's due to threats that they're receiving. And I'm assuming that most of them, when you're in those kind of positions and you have to make those decisions, that you're going to receive threats. But I didn't know that this was, something that they'd done. So I looked into it. And what I read was that in some past instances, such as like Secretary of Defense or War now, they have stayed in base housing for security and convenience. But this is not the standard. It's only been recorded a few times. And the rest of the cabinet living in military housing is unprecedented. Mm-hmm. So we've seen an uptick in political violence, and with this administration going hard on cartels, illegals, and releasing Epstein files, maybe that has something to do with it. But from what I read, they're paying their own way. I think they gave the example, it was Pete Hegseth was paying $4,655 a month for his place at Fort McNair's General Row. What do you think about that? You heard about that?
No, I've never heard of that. That's crazy. When I first read that, when you sent this, I scanned over it today before I told you how to do that, write that talk for the youth weekend. So I didn't get a dig real hard, but I did reread that again because I was like, man, he done, because he's moved people around in his cabinet, not in housing, but in different jobs. He moved that one girl from Kristi this one job to the next. And I thought he done moved these cats around because I'm like, man, Trump mixing it up. Like, hey, you're going to learn it all in my cabinet. You're not just going to be the Secretary of War. You're going to be Secretary of Transportation next. So I was like, what's he doing with these people, man? This ain't just like damn, like Walmart, man, where you go or McDonald's, where you go from fries to the drive-through window. We ain't playing that. Like, these are important positions, but
you're going to learn every position.
You're going to be on burgers today, boy. So
no, like, it wasn't that relocation.
No, this is actually like witness protection here, man. It's crazy. Like, then you start thinking, man, you remember base housing? It wasn't bad. And me and Holly had a nice place over at staff housing, but Brian, let's just admit, you're in California, like back in Louisiana and Kentucky, where we're from, your base housing would have been nice.
Oh yeah.
A nice place to live. But in California, come on, dude.
Oh yeah,
That
y'all
was the
had a huge
your
place.
area was like the little ghetto area, right? And then the one outside of El Toro where I forget who that sergeant's name is that let me stay at his house when I got out waiting for Shane the next day to ride home with me to Alabama. But anyways, him and his wife had Rottweilers. I remember that. He was an S6, kind of a big burly dude. But anyways, they lived in the ghetto, dude. It was bad. I mean, I was like, I thought it was Compton that we were in, dude, or Watts or whatever. No offense to you people that live there. You know, I'm sure it could be pretty, but it didn't feel right. I felt like I was in the hood. And I was spoiled. I was spoiled where I was at. But you think these cats are living in
Well, they
just
said they're
general
living
base
in.
housing?
That's what
The
they said. It
general
was
row?
the general's quarters. So
Yeah.
where the generals would stay, that's where they're staying.
Okay. But how many of those houses do they got available? Did they kick somebody else out? Do you know? Did Trump say,
No,
"Hey, fool, y'all got to"?
in some of the comments you see that they'll say that that there's generals needing spots and these people are taking up spots, and I don't know. It went both ways, but I don't know exactly if anyone's losing positions. I just think it's
Right.
weird that I would assume that they already have protection,
Right.
security, and if you need a heightened sense of security, do they know something we don't know? Or are they, really getting some serious death threats?
Right. Can DC not have like a little gated community, like a little gated community for people like this that that's really fortified with like missiles and machine guns and
I
you see
have
what
no idea.
you think they'd have something like that, don't you? Like a facility these people could stay at if there was that big of a threat instead of like, hey, you're going to Fort McNair.
Yeah, I would think that you might have that for
Good luck at
so
the commissary.
your political people, like your president, your vice president, your secretary, what is it, speaker of the house and shit like that.
Right.
But your cabinet, I don't know if you would have that. They not saying that I'm not downplaying their roles, but they were appointed.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe they shouldn't say as much as they say,
maybe they should keep their mouth. But no, if you look, Pam Bondi's involved with the Epstein files, and Pete trying to act all gung ho. I mean, I like Mad Dog the first term because that dude was just a bad. That dude would have slept out in a cardboard box outside the White House and say, "Come get some." He wouldn't have been scared.
Mathis.
Yeah, Mathis, Mad Dog Mathis, he didn't care. I mean, he come in the same day and started bombing Syria or something. I don't know. Right off the rip, he was bombing places. I think he had a grudge with something and said, if I ever get put in this spot, that's what I'm. And he goes, what? You just, oh, hell yeah, get me in there. Like, and he started to boom, 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 boom. But I'm all about protecting people, man. Don't put these people out there and let them get done. But man, you think we'd have a different setup? I mean, headsets on Fort whatever, and he's riding around. He goes, "Damn, when did they get a KFC Taco Bell combo? That's awesome." Sorry, that was big on a base. If you ever seen those where it was Taco Bell and a KFC together, it's like that's the ultimate marriage.
No, I think they have. I'm pretty sure they have good security. I can't see that they wouldn't have good security.
Yeah,
I was just
I had no idea that happened. No, I got to get caught up on. I got to start watching TV, I guess, or listening to.
Well, I just seen that was an article that came across, and I was just reading it, and I was like, I didn't even know that any of these other ones were living on base. So I just wanted to see if that was normal, and no, it's not normal.
What did you said that they've done it before? Who was it? Do you remember?
It was I don't remember exactly who it was, but I think it was during the Obama administration. It was the Secretary of Defense.
Okay.
But I don't remember exactly who it was.
That's crazy. No. And then they're making them pay. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. They say it's 105% of what BAQ would be for the general to have the house. Right. That's what they pay. Because when I first read it, I'm like, shit, they getting BAQ? I'm like,
comrades.
Yeah.
They're getting food monies.
But no, it said that they pay for it. So, I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for it.
Oh, hey, real quick, so you can go on to the next thing. You know, we were broke poor, dude. We should have been on welfare in the military, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I've never argued that. I tell people all the time we wasn't paid shit.
you think headset that they've got in there and be like, how the hell am I supposed to eat on this shit? They get a military paycheck and be like, huh? Huh?
Well,
Yeah,
Headsack
sucker.
was in the military, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, but man, he probably forgets. You know, yeah, whatever. People in our company that move up the chain,
Yeah, I
every
don't know
time
if
they
he
move
was.
up a step, they forget how it is.
I don't know if he was an officer or enlisted, but yeah,
Anyway.
they would they would not want to eat what we had to eat. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, because you don't see blackbirds around military base, especially in the Marine Corps. It's for dinner. Yard bird, baby. That wasn't chicken. That was blackbird. But anyways, go ahead. Carry on there, son.
That was soul
All right,
chickens.
sir. Soul chicken.
That's what they were. Soul chickens. All right, let's move on to shit going on in the Middle East. Last week we asked the question on why do the Iranians hate us so much?
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, if it was because we're killing them or if it's because of religion or both, maybe something else. So I looked into this a little bit this week and I found a video from Jeffrey Sachs. He was giving a little history on how we got involved with Iran back in 1953, which led to the Western movement that, you know, you see some people talking about that in the 70s that you'll see, you know, how their culture was so much different. And, you know, they had a Western culture and the ladies had more, you know, was able to walk out in skirts and all this other stuff. Well, this right here is going to explain a little bit on why they had that. Let's check this shit out.
Secretary of War, I have to correct you. We
Oh,
don't
sorry.
have defense.
I said Secretary of Defense, but yeah. Yeah.
We have war.
Yeah.
Well, I've spent decades along with bemoaning Bibi Netanyahu and Clean Break, thinking that Lindsey Graham is the stupidest person in Washington, the most vile. That's a very tough competition, by the way. But that man has never opened his mouth in 30 years without wanting more deaths of other people. And now he also says so clearly, no responsibility. I would like the American people to understand, I'm sure that they do, but just to clarify, we have been meddling in and destroying Iran now for 73 years actively. It was in 1953 that the CIA and MI6 overthrew the democratically elected and popular government of Prime Minister Mossadegh. They did it because Mossadegh had the complete audacity to say that the oil in Iran should belong to the Iranian people. This was far too much for Alan Dulles at the CIA and for MI6, who knew full well that the oil in Iran belongs to Britain and to the United States. So they overthrew him. In that case, there was a, quote, successful regime change operation, which put in place a police state, the state led by the puppet, the Shah of Iran. In 1979, he was overthrown in a mass revulsion against decades of an American-imposed police state, and this government came into power. Immediately, the United States armed Iraq to kill hundreds of thousands of Iranians in the Iraq-Iran war between 1980 and 1988. Saddam Hussein was our guy. He was the CIA's guy. Of course, when the CIA is done with you, they kill you. So Saddam became the worst enemy of the United States soon afterwards, after he had done the bidding of the United States for years. Since then, it has been, actually now I know it's since 1986, it's been Bibi Netanyahu's dream to overthrow the Iranian government. I always counted it as 1996. But the United States has been using every subterfuge, covert operation. It has been using assassinations, economic warfare, crushing the Iranian economy ever since. The Iranians have said all that time they don't want a nuclear weapon. Bibi Netanyahu, who is a psychopath.
All right. So there's a little history on.
Who was the president in 53? Was that Carter? It
no,
wasn't
Carter was a lot later
Carter's
than
like
that.
70s.
Yeah, I don't remember who was the president in 53. I didn't go through all that.
Okay.
So I mean, is it possible that the Iranian people just don't like us because we're constantly trying to overthrow their leadership?
Dude, it's what they're sitting on. If they weren't sitting on all that oil, Brian, we wouldn't, I guarantee we would have never, he just straight said, because when the Iranian Democratic leader said that the oil is for the Iranian people, we got mad about that, went in there and overthrew him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that. I just, I know why, okay, I can agree with why we want the property, or why we want Iran. Well, why do they hate us? I mean, even if we went over there, you would think that would work out. Hey, look, we're here for your oil. Let's work together. Let's make all this shit work. But these people hate us.
I think we messed up their culture. They
And
had
I
something
think so,
good
too.
going on, and we put them backwards. And we did that on purpose, if you look and see.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we wanted to change their culture.
Why are they doing it to us now, Brian? Our government's doing this to us. They're changing our culture because they're trying to. They've always got us in turmoil, and that's what they did to those people over there. I guarantee it. They had them in turmoil because when they felt free, and together and community, well, hold up, we didn't vote this fool in. You took him out. We're taking him out. We're putting our person back in. And we see this again. We're coming after you. We will as a country. We'll hold hands and fight back. And that's
maybe now you got people that didn't have to live through that.
Yeah.
And so now you can convince them that time was better than what you have now. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them cheering for us for what we just did. But we caused that. We started that up, and then we over there acting like we cleaning it up. Like, look at us, we're helping y'all. No, you guys caused this crap, man. But you got people that don't know. They don't know all that happened, Brian, because that wasn't public. It wasn't out in the media. There wasn't social media back there. There wasn't the internet to look that stuff up and figure it out.
Yeah, and even Israel and Iran got along back then, and they had their falling out at the same time in 1979.
Yeah, Israel wasn't brought up in the 1953 coup. That was kind of funny. Now all of a sudden Israel's in it, and they're pulling. We're involved again because of Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, BB.
But it said in 1979, the Iranian revolutionists supported anti-imperialism, anti-Zionism, and support for the Palestinian liberation. So they viewed Israel as an illegitimate colonial outpost and a symbol of Western oppression. And then Israel was labeled the little Satan, with the U.S. as the great Satan. Iran severed all ties, turned the Israeli embassy in Tehran into the Palestinian one, and made hostility towards Israel a core pillar of his revolutionary identity. And then from Israel's perspective, this hostility poses an existential threat for several interconnected reasons. They believe the Iranian leaders have repeatedly called for Israel's destruction, framing Israel as a cancerous tumor that must be eradicated, which Israel interprets as genocidal intent, which I can understand that. I mean, that does sound pretty rough. Then Iran funds, arms, and trains militant organizations that actively fight Israel, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and other militias in Syria and Iraq. And these groups form Iran's axis of resistance. All right. And then Israel also sees Iran's nuclear ambitions as the gravest danger. Iran insists its program is peaceful, but Israel and many Western governments believe it pursues weapons capability which could deter Israeli military actions or enable attacks by proxies. So there's multiple reasons why Israel and Iran don't like each other. In short, Israel views Iran not merely as a rival, but as a regime ideologically committed to its elimination, armed with proxies, missiles, and potentially nuclear weapons. This perception drives preemptive actions, while Iran's revolutionary ideology and support by anti-Israel groups sustain the cycle. So you have this constant battle that like no one's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you this perpetual war that you can choose a side, but depending on where you live is who is right. You know, and we're just interjecting ourselves into this, and it makes us really look bad in my mind, because what these people actually did to us, you know. But then we have our great
We think they did
senators
stuff to us,
that
Brian, because we think they came over here. Can we say that? Can we go there for just 1 second?
what's that?
I think our government painted the Muslim people. So Christian to Muslim, I don't believe in what they believe in. I'll just say that. But that's fine. A lot of people don't believe what I believe in, and I don't want them coming over here trying to overtake me or kill me or whatever. But I think our government painted a picture of Muslims with the whole 9/11.
Oh yeah, I think they did that too.
If you want to go down that rabbit hole, to the fact like Saturday Night Live, all these comedy shows were making parodies about
Oh, you did.
showing Arabics getting on a plane. I seen some comedy movies, movies that were comedy based, where like Soul Plane, who was that? Chris Rock or whatever ended up winning he got his butt caught in a airplane crapper, and it messed him up downstairs, right? So he got sued him and won all this money. So he built his own airplane, his own commercial airplane, and it had spinners on it. It was purple. It had all this bling. Snoop Dogg was the pilot and whatever. But there was these two big black girls were the security on the plane, and there was a Muslim dude that came in there, and they sat down beside him and pulled a gun on him and said, "Move, just move. If I hear ticking, we about to take you off." They were making fun of that when it was allowed to be made fun of. But that's how people viewed after 9/11. If somebody got on there that looked like an Arabic, India, Saudi, whatever, what did they do? You got nervous. You watched that person the whole damn plane, because our government painted the media painted a picture of them that they were that's what they do. They just blow people up.
Yeah, and I don't want to get away from thinking that we don't have terrorists, because I mean,
Yes.
I agree, we do have terrorists, and there's some of these people that do hate us, you know, but at the same time, yes, not all of them, you know, hate you.
No.
But
No, I don't eyeball the guy at the
they want you to
store.
believe that.
Yeah, the Patel dude that owns our gas station, I don't eyeball, like, I don't sit there and watch him when I'm walking in there, like, bumping into racks of chips and stuff, because I'm like, boy, I got my eye on you. Oh.
Yeah, but that division, even with these nations, is, you know, some of the reason that we have these politicians in here. There's Lindsey Graham, and I'm going to pick on Lindsey Graham tonight because Lindsey Graham's just a piece of shit. And
Yeah, I agree. We can
he
agree on
wants
that one.
everything's about war with this man. Every time you see him, he's just salivating for war. But I don't see a gun in his hand, you know. So let's start with him real quick. Let's go with Lindsey Graham.
Wall Street Journal reported that Senator Lindsey Graham coached Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on lobbying Donald Trump for action against Iran. The Journal's story, titled Lindsey Graham's Quest to Sell Trump on Striking Iran, describes Graham traveling several times to Israel in recent weeks. It says he met with members of Israel's intelligence agency and quoted him saying, "They'll tell me things our own government won't tell me." White House columnist Niall Stanage highlighted the line that Netanyahu showed Trump intelligence that persuaded Trump to go ahead, Graham said.
So if you don't believe the Wall Street Journal, and I'm not going to say all of that is true, but I mean, I believe it to be true. I can't say that it exactly is true, but here's Lindsey Graham telling you that basically he's a spokesperson for Israel.
I leave from here to go to the United Arab Emirates. Bibi wanted me to tell the press that he's amazed by the level of cooperation and the significance of the partnership of the United Arab Emirates with Israel, that MBZ has done everything asked and then some, that they've been a stalwart partner, reliable partner under difficult circumstances, and I want to go there tomorrow and acknowledge MBZ's leadership and suggest that America improve its capability to defend the United Arab Emirates and the region.
I could have swore I thought Lindsey Graham worked for the United States, but now he's an errand boy, a messenger for Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah, he likes to. He's got two jobs, Brian.
Oh man, let's check this. This is a
Hard out here
supercut.
for a pimp, dude. You gotta have multiple positions.
This is a supercut of Lindsey Graham just being a warmonger.
America first is to kill people who wish us ill, to take them off the table. When this regime goes down, we're going to have a new MiddleEast. We're going to make a ton of money. You just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
We're going to blow the hell out of these people. The mothership of international terrorism is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. The mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead.
The mothership of terrorism is about to go down. There's a new dawn coming in the Mideast.
Thank God Trump did this.
If we lose anybody in this operation, they will have died a noble death.
We should applaud our men and women in the military who are doing something I've never seen done before, decimating a brutal enemy in 9 days. I'm not looking for a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. If somebody is threatening my family, wants to rape your wife and burn down your house and kill your children, I don't want to wait till they get to the gun store and the gas station. We're at war with Iran. We've been at war for a long. They've been at war with us. We're finally at war with them. It's an undeclared state of war. I'm glad we're finally taking this regime on. I'm calling on President Trump today. Join Israel to attack Hezbollah. Settle the score. Even the account. Mr. President, unleash the American military with Israel on Hezbollah tonight. Finish these bastards off. Mr. President, do it and do it now. They're weak. We can take them out, and we should take them out. I'm urging our Arab allies to fight back. You're being hit, too. I want them to get in the fight. Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. Free Cuba. Stay tuned. Yeah. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this at? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. So how does this end? It ends with victory. Donald J. Trump is going to bring this regime down. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
There we are.
Oh,
you know what I was waiting for?
What's that?
I hope this ain't too. Here, let me turn it down a little bit. Whoa! Like, I was waiting for him to do a Ric Flair, dude, because he was getting all like, dude, you sound lying as hell. You can see the green in your eye, man. You're getting something out of this.
I'm glad you said that, because the next video is going to really fucking bring it all together. Now, this guy's playing with the lives of like our children and shit. You know, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Just foaming at the mouth to go to war with anyone. You know,
And by the way, to y'all listeners, my son's in uniform right now. He's active duty Air Force. And
yeah, I mean, if you can't understand that this man is a piece of shit and we still love our military, you can have both opinions. You know, just because I don't support exactly what, our government wants to do doesn't mean I'm not 100% behind our military. These guys need to do everything they need to do to stay alive and come home, and I support them 100%. Having said that,
don't have that.
They need to come home.
Well, at no time do I have that mentality that there's no battle worth fighting. I mean, there's a reason why we have a military, and it's essential. But this one right here, probably the one that I was in Iraq, probably should not have happened. I'm just being honest. It shouldn't have. We didn't find nothing over there, they said, but we're not going to discuss fully that in this show. That'll be another show because we're going to keep doing this for a long time. We don't want to run out of stuff to talk about, but go ahead.
No, we ain't going to run out of shit to talk about. There's all kinds of shit
we got
to talk
plenty
about.
to talk about. As long as we got breath in our lungs, we're talking.
So here's Lindsey Graham on why he's really so pro-war.
Money, money, money.
All of this money is to make sure they never go nuclear, they can't hit us with ballistic missiles, and they stop terrorizing the region. When this regime goes down, we're going to have a new MiddleEast. We're going to make a ton of money. Nobody will threaten the Straits of Hormuz again.
We're going to make a ton of money.
We're going to make a ton of money, dude.
He said it. I didn't say it. You didn't have to say it. The man said it himself.
You know what, though? We got that stuck, right? It's on the internet. It's forever.
Mm-hmm.
We've said that, right? You put something out there, it's out there forever. So just like our making the sausage last week, that's out there forever. I can't take that back.
You can't take it back.
Yeah. So thanks, Brian.
What's wrong with that? I thought that was hilarious.
I know. I'm just messing. I'm having a good, and I'm glad AJ got a kick out of me letting loose, dude. That's normal me. I'm restraining myself most of the time on this thing because I want to say a lot more than what I do. But anyways, when I don't see a dime from this, Brian, can I send that video back to him and ask him, Mr. Graham, where's all this money you said we're going to be making? You said you got a frog in your pocket, or I'm not part of the money making process.
You're not part of the we.
You're not, yeah.
You're not part of the we.
It's you and your cronies are going to make some money. I'm not making no money.
He has a different kind of we.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll make some bullshit up, though.
You know what's the greatest thing, though?
What?
Is they don't even have a plan for whenever they're done. What? And again, I don't have to say it. This is him saying it himself.
In a social media post Sunday, President Trump wrote this, quote, hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. Is hope the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. The new Iran, whatever it is, whether it's a cleric or a representative democracy, our goal is to make sure it cannot become, again, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That's a win for us.
But is there a plan to make sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism, to help the people reconstruct a new government, no boots on the ground. We don't own, this idea you break it, you own it. I don't buy that one bit. It's in America's interest to make sure the Ayatollah is dead. He's dead.
Got a plan.
I bet you he's in a store, like an antique store, that says that all over the place, and he pumped something and said, nope. I ain't buying that. You shouldn't have put it out there, idiots.
It's funny, though. This is all
like,
from
I'm going to
guy.
come in your country and tear shit up, but I ain't going to take responsibility for it and help you put it back together. Like,
and don't get me wrong. I've never been a supporter of us going and blowing people up and having to, fix their countries. Having said that, I never realized why we went in there and blew them up. I always thought it was always on the up and up.
Yeah.
So if we just going over there for our own beneficial reasons and tearing up their country, I guess, we should give them back some money that we, because we're draining their minerals from them, should I say?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
or how even be nice, Brian, that I had to cut through your yard to get something. Here's some money to read.
Something.
I mean, you got to kind of put it in your mindset of your neighbor or whatever, right? Or like, man, gosh dang, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I'm just going. This one's for you, AJ. How about your neighbor is beating his wife, and you got to do something about it? So you go over there and make a mess of the dude. I mean, you got to help his wife clean the place up. You can't just leave her with that. You know what I'm saying? You had to take the dude out because of what he's doing. He's a bad person. He's evil. But you got to help her out. You can't just walk away and say, "Deal with it, woman." There you go. I mean, be nice and help her out. You help and you're fix the problem. Like, we're not fixing nothing over there. We're after that Texas tea.
So but in using your analysis, so did the guy go over there to help the woman so he can fuck her because he was going to get the minerals from the guy?
No, I wasn't talking about that.
Yeah, no, but see, like, we over there. If we get minerals from them, if you went next door? Yeah. What are you getting from the woman?
No, I was saying even in their perception that
I was
they're
just
over
curious
there
on how your analysis
helping their
works.
Government out.
I mean, your analogy. I'm sorry.
No, because I'm going off of their.
That's right.
Suckers.
All right, so I don't know if you knew this or realized this, but Lindsey Graham, I mean, he pretty much hated Trump when Trump first came out. I mean, so this is all coming from a guy that didn't even want Trump in office. Check the old Lindsey out.
If Lindsey had his way, there never would have been a Trump.
Donald Trump, he would be a terrible commander-in-chief.
He was one of the most vociferous attackers on Trump early on. He said Trump would be the worst nominee in the history of the Republican Party.
You know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
He didn't even vote for Trump. He did not change his stripes. This guy is a vehement, shape-shifting anti-Trumper. In 2017, when we had both houses of Congress and the presidency, what did this guy do? He went and reinforced that bogus narrative that the Russians had hacked the election.
The Russians tried to interfere in the 2016 American presidential election. The Democratic Party of 2016 were the victims.
And that had the point of carrying water for the Democrats to delegitimize Trump. When the president threatened to fire Mueller, he threatened the president.
Are you worried that the president is preparing to order the firing of Mueller?
If he tried to do that, that would be the beginning of the end of his presidency.
This is a guy who's running interference for the other side.
We're killing all the right people.
South Carolina, you need a new senator. Got my vote.
What a piece of work, huh?
Yeah, he's a turd. He is a straight turd.
And one more before we leave Lindsey, because this one's hilarious. I don't know if you've seen this one. Probably not. This is Lindsey getting asked a question about, you'll just see. Check this out.
Hey, Lindsey, why don't you just admit that you're gay and then people won't blackmail you anymore?
I didn't know he came out of the closet.
He didn't. That's what he's saying. Lindsey, won't you just come out as gay and they won't have to blackmail? They won't blackmail you anymore. They won't have no blackmail anymore. I'm not saying he's gay. I'm just saying that they think he's gay.
What you think he's? Yeah.
He's a little weird.
He's a little weird. He is.
He's a little weird.
It's
all right. Look,
I've got to ask a stupid question. I hear about him all the time, but I don't keep up with a lot of these fools. Is he Republican?
Yeah, unfortunately, he is.
Yeah, but he was sitting there taking up for the Democrats when he was going against Trump, talking about the Russian influence.
Well, whenever Trump first came out, I mean, none of them liked him. The Republicans didn't want him. The Democrats didn't want him. The only reason why the Republicans took him because he beat their damn people they were trying to primary.
Well, because they
had
were
no
all
choice.
threatened. Yeah, they were all threatened.
So, yeah, they won by default.
Right.
All right, so I want to take a step back and go back to what we was discussing at the beginning, and it's the rift between the U.S. and Iran, and therefore I want to go back and I want to take a look at Iran's side, because as we stated earlier, Iran's revolutionists were supportive of the Palestinian people, and I didn't, I didn't know a whole lot about the terrorist groups. I still don't know a whole lot about them, but I just wanted to check to see exactly where each terrorist group came from that Iran supports. Well, the two main ones that we're going to talk about tonight, which is Hezbollah and Hamas. Hezbollah emerged in 1982 amid Israel's invasion of Lebanon, which aimed to expel the Palestine Liberation Organization, which is PLO, from southern Lebanon and Beirut. Hezbollah positioned itself as the new resistance force against Israel, effectively replacing the PLO that was in that role in southern Lebanon. The Israel-Hezbollah conflict is decades-long confrontation rooted in territorial disputes, security concerns, ideological opposition, and Iran's role as Hezbollah's primary backer. And then Hezbollah was cited for attacks on Israeli forces and allies, including the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing, attributed to Hezbollah-linked groups killing 241 Marines and others. And this one right here I found kind of interesting because there was an old news clip that I found. And so my question is, what if Israel wasn't completely honest with the intelligence that they had on the 1983 bombing of the Marine barracks in Beirut? So I wanted to play this for you. Let's check this out and tell me what you think.
Agreed with an Israeli request to stop the distribution of a book that contains some pretty damning information about the Israeli Secret Service, the Mossad, if it is true. Here's ABC's John Martin.
The most sensational claim in the book involves this bloody day, the Beirut Marine barracks bombing. The book says Israeli agents kept vital information from U.S. Marines that might have saved the lives of 241 Americans killed here. Israeli government sources deny this account, but according to the book, an Israeli informant saw a Mercedes truck being fitted with secret panels for explosives. Israeli troops were told to be on the lookout for the truck. But the book says the Israelis intentionally gave the Americans only a vague warning, not mentioning the kind or size of vehicle. The book says Israeli intelligence was willing to let the terrorists succeed to protect their sources and out of contempt for U.S. intelligence. It says agents withheld information on U.S. hostages for similar reasons. In Toronto today, the author was under a court-ordered gag not to discuss the book or the case.
You see, there's two restrictions. There's one restriction that I can't talk about what I learned or have done in the Mossad, and the other restriction is I cannot talk about anything that's in the book.
Israeli officials confirm that Viktor Ostrovsky worked for the Mossad in the 1980s. Alarmed by the contents of the book, they got it temporarily blocked in Canada and the United States.
It's the position of the Israeli government that the information contained in the book could very well lead to the identification of employees of the Mossad and could jeopardize their lives.
But the book's introduction says it does not name active agents and gives only initials. It does say that more than 24 senior Israeli agents routinely gather intelligence in the United States. Late today, the book was put out for sale in New York after the court lifted its restraining order. The publishers claimed victory, but the Israeli embassy said it will still pursue its action against the author. John Martin, ABC News, Washington.
Now, I don't know how true that is, but I would assume that there is some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the whole, you have to have something to spark the conflict.
Did you see that they're finally saying that it looks like the U.S. was responsible for that Tomahawk going into that school?
Oh, the one recent that they were saying that they didn't hit a school. Now they're saying that we.
Yep. So it was a Tomahawk missile, man. We talked about it last week. Well, it was a Tomahawk missile they found out. And at first they were like, well, we aren't the only ones with Tomahawks. And they're like, well, the enemy don't have Tomahawks. Right. So now the last I heard is, they're looking in the investigation. Looks like we had bad intelligence. As you said last week, and I agree with you, that, the equipment that we have today and the intelligence we have will have to be unbelievable. Who's to say we didn't get bad intelligence from Israel and we shut the school? Which, in their defense, the school used to be a military building or something. But you think we would have known? Could this be another example of Beirut? Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say, because how do we say friendly fire? How does friendly fire happen with the technology we have that we've had for a long time? How does it happen? I mean, there's human error. Don't get me wrong, but
you just got to have bad intelligence. You doing what you think is right or or correct, but it's actually wrong. I mean,
yeah. But what's behind that though?
Negligence or.
It is, but do we chalk that up as bad intelligence? Sorry,
no, this here,
or do we say it's deliberately bad intelligence to get us to do that?
I would love for it to be the former, for it just to be, it was an all shit moment. Fuck, we really fucked up. We thought we was doing the best, but I think it's the latter that we got bad intelligence intentionally because this type of shit just happens. It seems to happen too much. You know, and that's what I thought of whenever, I was seeing this. It's like, if they knew about that, the first thing that popped in my mind was that school. And then you saying, which made a lot of sense, is the intelligence we have today and the equipment that you just couldn't see that we would hit that school. And I knew everything I read and what it was saying, the missiles, and so it didn't make sense to me either, because you made a logical, defense for it. And the only thing I can think of is if that was the U.S. Tomahawk and it did hit that school and we had bad intelligence, did these son bitches give us the wrong intelligence again or bad intelligence again?
Right.
Or even if they did the first time in Beirut, I don't know, but based off of the assumption of that. And that got me thinking, later today, I threw this in right before we got on because I just remembered it. You ever heard of what happened to the U.S.S. Liberty back in 1967? It's like Israel was fighting Egypt and all this other shit, and then U.S. Liberty gets struck. And it was a whole bunch of bullshit back and forth, on who struck the U.S.S. Liberty. Okay. And there's a guy that was on Candace, I don't know if it was a year, 2 years ago. He wrote an email to Candace, and he was a survivor of the U.S.S. Liberty, and he came on and told his story. And when you hear it, it's like, you would have to watch the whole episode. It's about an hour long. And his name is Phil Turney. But he tells his story, and when you hear it, you're like, when I first heard it, I'm like, man, ain't no way, this shit happened. But the further you get down this road and you see what Israel is actually capable of, you're like, I don't know. It's a pretty good chance this shit happened. Mm-hmm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play one video. The first video is Tucker talking about USS Liberty, and then I'll stop for a second in case you want to say something. If not, I'm gonna go to the second video, which is Candace, which is it's a condensed version of what Phil Turney had to say when he was on Candace. So it'll give you a good background on, and then we can discuss it. All right.
Well, we put up with the attack on the USS Liberty that everyone's so afraid to talk about, clearly targeted on purpose by a country we're supporting, Israel, and it's somehow shameful to say that? Why? Why is it shameful to say that? Who knows why it's shameful to say that, but it shouldn't be. And until we have some self-respect, not anger or hate, but just dignity, it will continue. In June, for example, during the 12-day war, such as it was with Iran, during that short conflict, there are a bunch of Israeli Defense Force officers in the Pentagon that week. And during that week, ask anyone who works at the Pentagon, they enraged American Pentagon staff by just barging into meetings, giving orders, making demands, and nobody did anything about it. How can a foreign military officer barge into military headquarters, even if invited, but barge into a meeting and start demanding, we want this, we want that, you need to get on this? The more you allow that kind of deeply unhealthy behavior, the more you're going to get.
And I believe Tucker, I trust Tucker, and he has a lot of connections. So I would assume that, again, there's some basis to it. Let's just put it that way. You ready to go into the next one?
Yeah, we can go in the next.
All right, here we go.
Take me through what happened on June 8th.
The attack began.
What's the first thing you remember?
All hands get to your general quarter stations. We're under attack. We're under attack. And I got to my GQ station, which is in the front part of the ship. And those two men that I just left there, not a minute it took me to get back up there. They were dead. They're blown to bits. Anything that moved aboard that ship, they were shot at. They took out all of our antennas within 3 seconds. Our 450 caliber machine guns were gone. Every watertight door was hit, and this went on for 25 minutes, dropping napalm on us. 25 minutes of that, you can't imagine. Every second was like an hour. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, and you got people severely blown up, wounded badly. And then there was a lull. We saw the torpedo boats coming. We thought, the Star of David, oh, good. Because these were unmarked jet aircraft. We didn't know who was attacking us. We thought it was the Arabs. And then we saw the torpedo boats, and the Star of David thought, oh, man, here's our best friends who are going to come help us. No, they come to sink us. They fired 5 torpedoes at us. LBJ gets on the phone, and his exact words were, I don't give a GD if all those sailors die. I'm not going to embarrass my ally Israel, like I said in the letter. Now, how did he know that if we didn't know it? Who was attacking us?
So they then have the President of the United States. So this guy's trying to do the right thing, Captain Tully. He's like, we're going to help them. He gets called back by the Secretary of Defense. He's thinking, I'm going to go over his head because this is crazy. And now the President of the United States is saying, I don't care. I don't give a GD if they die. I am not going to embarrass our friend and ally Israel. So he knew.
We were set up by our own government to die.
He goes on to say that they were left out there for, I think it was like 17 hours when they had a boat like 40 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
He said they were probably hoping that they were all going to die. And whenever they walked on the boat, he said the cover-up started. I forgot what general, whatever it was, that walked on the boat and told them all that they will never talk about this again, not even with each other. Yeah. He said they said they were loading some of the life rafts with the most critically injured to try to get them going. He said they were striking the life rafts. They said one of them, they took one life rafts as a trophy. And he said they just stopped and they just all rode away. And said they just left them out there to see if they would sink. But it's a real good story, and it's like, man, that is so fucked up. He said it starts off because there's some airplanes flying real low, and checking them out. And they can't see exactly who the planes are for, and then next thing you know, those planes start shooting on them.
Yeah.
And they don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
And
but that could have been used as a ploy to sit there and say that was Iran or whoever else was doing that.
Well, what I read about was, so Israel was fighting with Egypt. It seemed like they fight everybody. Yeah. And they said it was I don't remember what kind of ploy you call it, but they got a name for it. But yes, it was something to draw us into the fight with Egypt, for them to show like it might have been somebody else killing us, but no one was supposed. What they suspecting that no one was supposed to survive, and if no one survived, then they can say, the Egyptians.
They can make the narrative however they wanted.
Yep.
Brian? Do you think? Well, gosh, man, we could go into rabbit hole after rabbit. Man, we got a yard full of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Japan attacking Pearl Harbor. We stayed out of that war for a long time. You think Japan actually came over here and tried to pick us into the fight, or do you think maybe there was something to do with that to get us, for the American people to turn and say, okay, yeah, let's get in there, to get the American people to decide for that? I don't know, man. And that's what's crazy. We get played
I
all
don't
the
know.
time. We do. We get played to our emotions.
You do. I don't know. I would like to believe what I've learned throughout the years was correct, but
Right.
the more I dig, the more I realize I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
You know?
You learned what they wanted you to know.
Yeah, I was more programmed. I wasn't,
Yeah.
being
That's
taught
crazy.
anything. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so I just wanted to show you that, so it might give some. I'm not trying to give more credit to, what we're saying about Israel and the things that they can do when, like, looking at Beirut and all, but I want to shed some light into some of the questionable shit that's happened around this country, against us.
Yeah.
This is our number one ally, and it seems like they're kind of shady towards us. All right, so got a little sidetracked on that, but I wanted to throw that in there, and so we go back
it's
to the
good
original
stuff.
story.
That's
So
good stuff.
the
I
other
like-
terrorist group we hear about that's supported by Iran is Hamas, and it was founded in December of 1987. It emerged at the outset of the first Intifada, a widespread Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation that began in early December 1987. Now, it seems like every time that there's something like a resistance that grows, it's due to an Israeli occupation. So it's not like, and I'm not taking up for these guys, but it's not like, they get this whole terrorist group just going over there. There's always some kind of occupation. So basically, Hezbollah and Hamas both fundamentally oppose Israel's existence as a Jewish state. Okay, so they don't want them there. Both groups see Israel as a colonial Zionist entity built on land taken from the Palestinian Muslims through displacement. And they frame the conflict as resistance to occupation, expansionism, and Western imperialism. And then they also have the religious framing of it, what is rooted in Islamist ideology. They portray the struggle as a defense of Islamic holy sites and land considered as Islamic endowment. The jihad resistance against Israel is presented as a religious duty. And then Iran's influence as a part of Iran's axis of resistance both receive funding, weapons, training, and strategic guidance from Iran. Okay. And then they go through the historical grievances. Israel views Hamas and Hezbollah as a major security threats to them, often described by Israeli officials and the IDF and the government statements as essential threats to the state due to their stated goals, actions, capabilities, and ties to Iran. This perception drives Israel's military operations against both groups, including efforts to degrade or dismantle their military capabilities. Now, why are they fighting over this land? I looked through it, and from what I understand, it looks like the Jews that ended up there were relocated from Britain or Europe. And the original settlement, I think the Rothschilds had something in getting it started. So I don't know if they're the ones that like pushed them out of Europe. I didn't get that deep into it. But the Rothschilds were the ones that helped them with getting settled in the place that they are. Where they are isn't their homeland. So whenever they showed up over there, I mean, it gave all these other people reason to be pissed off, understandably so. So play this for you and see if we can shed a little more light on it. All right, here we go. How did the Jews get to the Middle East?
Israel was founded in 1948, and it was promoted by Britain and the U.S. primarily because they wanted to have a strategic asset in the Middle East that was going to be part of their policy of containment, because coming out of World War II, the U.S. government allied with the British government, and they wanted to get control of Middle Eastern oil. That was primarily what it was about. So the plan was to install a government, the Zionist will look, here's this already movement, the Zionist movement. We'll ally with the Zionist movement, who at the time, a lot of the ideas were, we can establish a Jewish homeland multiple places. It didn't have to be Palestine. But what we'll do is we'll establish a strategic asset there. That and Iran, those were going to be the two pillars of the containment policy, whereby the U.S. government controlled Middle Eastern resources. And so as a result of Iran, they went in a few years later, deposed, I think it was Mossadegh, and put in the Shah of Iran, a brutal dictator. And so those were the two legs of, we will control Middle Eastern oil and deny it to the Soviet Union. And so right from the beginning, you have to bear in mind that Israel did not arise organically from the indigenous people that lived there. It was imposed by imperial powers.
So now we're getting a little closer on why they hate us and the Jews.
Yeah.
Right.
Because now they're acting like we.
Say it.
Dude, come on. Hey, the Bible was written way before that.
Yeah.
And even the King James Version, right, from King James from England or whatever, was written way before 1943. And the Jews lived in those areas already when the Bible was written.
According to everything I read, I mean, and I can't say I understand what you're saying from the Bible. From everything I read, the Jews moved around a lot. They were pushed out of locations a lot. So, yes, they could have been there, but they might have got pushed out of there also. And then from this point, they would end up in Britain. But no, I agree with you. They did. They might have some kind of tie in that aspect.
Right.
But whenever they went back, that was not their land, basically, from everything I've seen. They were put there. Now, I did hear that, but I read that they went over there, and it was basically Britain went over there and showed them how to farm and all this other stuff and made their land fertile. And so that's not saying that they didn't bring, some Western things that didn't help that area out.
No.
But the contingent is, and when we're going a little further than this, you're going to understand, is they're not content with what they have. And I'm not saying the Israeli people aren't content. From what I see, the government, kind of like our government, it's the same thing. As I don't have a whole lot of love lost for our government.
Right.
There's a good possibility the Israeli people don't have a whole lot of love lost for their government. I don't know. I don't hear anything about them.
Right. Because like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, and I brought it up on many, that we talk about Israel, is I don't want anybody thinking like Jason's a Christian and he don't support Israel. I support the concept of Israel. I don't support what BB's doing and all that stuff. There's some shady stuff going on there. I support America. I don't like what our government's doing.
Yeah.
You have the right to say that.
We support MAGA. I'm trying to give a background of, the Middle East. Not that I'm a Middle East expert. I don't know shit about the Middle East. I've just found some shit.
No, but you're
I've been
shedding light on a lot of stuff that we don't know. Yeah.
And that's just it. So everyone can see, what's exactly going on, why they fight, and none of this will ever change until we understand what the root cause is. And I hate to sound like Kamala Harris, but it's true. You got to get down to the root cause of shit,
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike Huckabee, I don't know if you know who Mike Huckabee is, but he was a former, okay. Well, he is our, what do you call it? He's our representative for Israel, whatever you call that. Our ambassador. I'm sorry.
The
U.S. ambassador.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, here's Mike Huckabee on the Israel land. All right, let's check this out.
Israel is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee has sparked outrage over comments made during an interview with American commentator Tucker Carlson.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all.
Huckabee also called Area C in the occupied West Bank, where repeated settler attacks have forced much of the Palestinian population to flee, part of Israel.
So they're moving all these Americans, people from around the world, into settlements subsidized by Americans in the West Bank.
No, they're not moving them from around the world to the settlements. They're people who make Aliyah. They come.
I'm just saying.
These are Israelis who live in Israel.
Well, there are a lot of people.
And Area C is Israel.
Okay.
Several Arab countries have responded by denouncing Huckabee's statement as reckless, provocative, and irresponsible. But they aren't new. In June, the ambassador told Bloomberg News that a Palestinian state in the occupied West Bank is no longer a U.S. policy goal, and that Israel's Muslim neighbors could give up their land instead to create one. The ambassador's apparent disregard for regional sovereignty did not stop there. He also listed several neighboring countries, many of them close U.S. allies, as fronts in Israel's regional war.
I keep hearing Israel's fighting a 7-front war. What are those 7 fronts?
Well, you got Lebanon. You have Egypt. Now, Egypt is not an active war, but you have the Muslim Brotherhood within Egypt. You've got the Muslim Brotherhood in Jordan. You've got Syria.
Wait, they're fighting a war with Jordan?
With the Muslim Brotherhood that is in Jordan, not directly with Jordan, not the government of Jordan.
But are they...
You've got Hezbollah, Houthis.
In Yemen.
You have Hamas in Gaza. You have the threats that come from Iran.
But Huckabee did have praise for one country.
One place is an exception is the Emiratis, and I love those folks because they are so progressive, but they're really trying to do things that are beyond what anyone else in the region. They change their textbooks. They teach that Israel is not a nation they should hate or seek to annihilate.
His apparent disregard for the sovereignty of existing countries in the region, including Palestinian rights to statehood, has alarmed several Arab states and U.S. allies. It marks yet another step in which U.S. policy seems to be increasingly out of line with its Arab neighbors and increasingly deferent to Israel's government.
And there you go. So if that's Mike Huckabee as our ambassador to Israel, that would mean that he represents us to Israel, so his statements are our statements. That we believe that Israel they can have it all. Right? Did you hear anything different?
No, and Tucker even said that he's read that word in Genesis multiple times.
So,
I am saying that there's validity behind that. I don't believe that the word of God is a fairy tale or made up story. I don't. So
no, I mean, what I'm getting at is, okay, so let's just say God said that that's supposed to be their land. Okay. How do you give it back to them?
So being honest, sometimes you have to take it.
That's what I'm getting at. So just killing everybody would be God's way of giving them back their land?
Read the Old Testament, Brian. There's a lot of times.
I got looked into the holy wars too. So yeah, I understand all that. And I'll be honest with you, I think religious wars are the worst wars to ever fight because no one's ever going to win because everybody's right.
Yeah.
You know, when you have that much of a belief and conviction into something to where you're ready to kill each other over it, especially and don't take this the wrong way,
right?
Over a belief.
Right.
And I'm not saying that these beliefs aren't good, and I'm not saying a lot of these beliefs couldn't be true. Right. But basically, it's off of a belief. It's not off of anything concrete. It's what we all believe.
Right.
And we are willing to kill each other over that all the time. But so yeah, I see it both ways. I won't argue that. I just don't know if it is God's way, and how do you do ethnic cleansing? Does the ethnic cleansing become something that's normalized to say, hey, look, we're going back to God? And then are these people that you're killing, are these not God's children? I mean, that brings a whole lot of questions into that. So I'm not going to put it in a religious base. I'm just going to look at it as these people occupy this property, this people occupy this property, you know, where should we go from there?
Yeah, but the whole children thing is the same thing of your kids. Do your kids fully reflect what you believe in and what you try to raise them in?
No.
They kind of grew up and kind of went on their own. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do follow in the teachings that you showed them. And you know what I'm saying? And sometimes they go do a 180 totally from you, and you're like, I love you, but I don't even recognize you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where in the heck you got that from. That was not even close to what anything I ever did or showed or whatever. So does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah.
And that's how humans are. That's the human race, and it's called free will. I mean,
and when you take it that many centuries away from when Jesus walked this earth,
yeah,
you know, that's when that Bible was written to where we're at now, I wouldn't believe that the same people that wrote the Bible are backing the people that are trying to just get. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. I forgot to tell you that. Whenever you mentioned genocide last week and something else, that's got us flagged off of fucking.
They got us flagged on what?
On TikTok. They got the first strike. So we can say elephant dick and Bonnie Blue being full of cum and all this other dumb shit, but you can't say genocide and you can't say Jews.
Jeez. Well, Jews bought TikTok, didn't they?
I don't fucking. Yeah, well, yeah, it was something like that.
So
yeah.
we can't post this on TikTok then, huh?
Oh, yeah, we don't post the whole thing anywhere anyway on TikTok. The only thing, the place we post everything is it won't take a video this long.
Oh yeah. So YouTube and Spotify, you know, the radio, transistor radio or whatever.
Okay, I just want to throw that.
Yeah. TikTok. So you can't say gun. You can't say somebody got. You got to say pew pew and.
Yeah, I ain't worried about all that shit.
I mean, really, but girls can dang near show all their junk to you, right? And talk about taking a Reese Hitch trailer, a 2-inch ball somewhere where the sun don't shine.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that crap's all over that thing. I mean, it's nasty, but we can't say genocide.
We don't have the same For You page.
I told you, man, I typed in that I'm a male, blah, 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 what my age was or whatever when I first got on it. Next thing you know, I didn't even know what OnlyFans was. I had to ask my daughter. Thank God she didn't have one.
I'm about to say, when she told you, yeah, Dad, check mine out.
Yeah, here, if you want to see what it's all about, here, check mine. Just, yeah, come on, dude, that's nasty. But can you imagine that as a father getting on?
No,
like,
but
hey, I'm going to check this out. Next thing you know, here's your daughter. But anyway,
they said that the incest porn was like the big thing, like
stepbrother and stepmom and
something
mommy,
like that,
daddy, or son and mom,
that just don't sound right.
Oh, it don't.
You know, just don't make any sense. I mean, how bad does your sex got to be to where you got to start thinking about having sex with your fucking family members?
I know. I don't even like them on get-togethers sometimes. Much less want to get in the bed with them and like, no.
I don't think so.
No, I'm not down with that, Mom. But anyway,
back to the regular scheduled program. So now we're going to talk. I'm going to bring you to the Greater Israel Project. All right. Okay. So this goes in line with what Mike Huckabee was saying. Let's check this out.
The Promised Land. This is the Greater Israel Project. Okay, this is what Yahweh promised to Abraham in the Bible. As you can see, it's pretty huge. It's the entire Middle East. It extends from the Nile to the Euphrates in Iraq. Okay, it's a huge area. And if you say the Israelis want to achieve the Greater Israel Project, they call you a conspiracy theorist. Like, we don't want that, okay? But explain two things to me. First of all, why is the Greater Israel map on a chevron of an IDF soldier, okay? These are soldiers, Israeli soldiers, and they wear the insignia of the Greater Israel Project, okay? This is the map. Also, if you look at the flag of Israel, there are two blue lines, right? These represent rivers, the Nile and the Euphrates. All right? So if it's a conspiracy theory, then how do you explain these two things? All right, but I want to argue to you, you know what? Pax Judaica, it's not about Israel or the Greater Israel Project. What it is ultimately is an alliance of transnational capital, multinationals like Google and Meta, and intelligence agencies that will be based in Jerusalem, okay? So secret societies will be based in Jerusalem, and they will use it as a headquarters for their global conspiracy. But, and they will profit from chaos and conflict around the world because they think that this is the culmination of the prophecy. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Jews will be in charge. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay, so it's a much more concrete idea than people think it is.
So did you get to see what that was? How the Greater Israel Project is the full Middle East?
Yeah.
So
Like
that's,
kinda
that's
them-
what they
like
laid out
we're
as the
pushing-
promised land.
Yeah.
So
don't
I
know.
guess my point is I don't know how you ever get rid of Middle East conflicts as long as someone thinks that they owe
That they
all of that.
Yeah.
I don't think you stop that.
It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So this week I was watching Candace, and so now that we got a little background on the Middle East, I wanted to go over something that I heard on her show the other day, and she was talking about this mowing the grass, and she said it was basically stated as shooting Palestinians, just across the board, like Israel they would say they got to go mow the grass, and they would just start shooting these people. So I had to look into it. I'm like, there's no way. Now, I've seen it both ways, where they say this is just it's a term that you would use, kind of like last week what we watched, the kill chain, Palantir's kill chain, and asked the guy that says about Palantir's kill chain. He's like, well, we don't exactly call it the kill chain, because they're lawyers, but that's basically what it is.
Right.
So I think it's kind of something like this. They don't actually call it mowing the lawn, but that's the term that's being, coined for it. It's mowing the lawn. So I couldn't find something that stated that, yes, this is an active event of mowing the lawn, but I can tell you there's a whole bunch of information on it if it's not something that exists. So I'll check this shit out.
There's a standard procedure that's gone on since 2005. A truce accord is established. Hamas lives up to it. Israel violates it, never keeps up to it. Finally, Israel escalates its violation. That elicits some kind of Hamas reaction. That's the pretext for the next act of what Israel calls mowing the lawn, another major attack, each one worse than the last. The 51-day war was the worst so far. That's the regular procedure. Then comes the Western propaganda, just following Israeli hasbara, exactly what you reported. Poor Israel is attacked by rockets. What can they do? They have to defend themselves. It works very nicely.
So that's the guys that they use to mow the lawn. And here's Dr. Osman that's going to give us a little bit more detail on what mowing the lawn actually was, or might actually still be it.
One policy is called mowing the lawn. And what this means is that every now and then, Israel, Zionist entity, goes and inflicts massacres on the people of Gaza, called mowing the lawn. Mowing the lawn because if the lawn overgrows, it has to be mowed, you have to cut the grass. And this is how they see the people of Gaza. Now, of course, the people who are in a blockade and you're cutting off their water, electricity, or controlling it, and their fuel and their food, one day the people would, of course, take to resistance. They would try the peaceful method, like, for example, the peaceful march to Britain some years back, where people all traveled together to the borders peacefully, but they were shot dead. More than 200 people died in that situation, were killed. They shoot at people, at kids' kneecaps, staple them for life. These peaceful methods that they've tried. And then, of course, when you have a resistance, it's now time for mowing the lawn.
So every time they have a resistance, they say that's when it's time to mow the lawn. And you wonder why we have terrorists. And I'm sure this practice, it doesn't cause any kind of animosity between these countries.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone just accepts it. And so if you do shit like this, you're the chosen people, first of all. And if this is actually happening, you are just mowing people down as the chosen people. All right. You the child of God, and this is what you're doing. And you think that this is going to be a means to the end when actually if you kill my father, all right, and I'm a young child, you kill my father, it's going to be a whole hell of a lot easier for Hezbollah or Hamas to recruit me to avenge my father's death than it would be if my father was still alive and never had to see that type of shit, right?
Right.
So you build this perpetual fight because you always going to have someone else stepping up because you murdered their family member. So
Right.
I don't understand the whole mentality behind all this. You know, unless they don't want to find an answer.
Right.
Or maybe in that is just kill all of them. You know, you eventually get rid of all of them and you don't have no one to fight. I don't know.
Right.
And then I recently read that there was allegations that Israel has been using white phosphorus against Lebanon in the current fighting. And not as smoke grenades, but as a weapon.
Right.
And for those that don't know, I mean, white phosphorus, it'll burn, 1,500 degrees and nothing will put it out. It'll just burn till it goes out. I remember when I was in high school, they had a guy, I think he was from Vietnam. He would go from school to school and he was a motivational speaker. And I mean, half his face was melted off. His hands was melted off. I mean, you can see bone. But that's how he was living. And he would wear a little mask and he'd take the mask off to do the thing. And that's what happened to him is he got hit with a white phosphorus grenade. And he tells the whole story and and the whole motivational things about how he survived. And then he jumps in the water and the shit just don't go out. He's talking about peeling his skin off and it's gruesome, especially to hear as a high school student. But to hear that we're still using this shit today, it's pretty fucked up. Here's again, this is just reports coming out. I don't know. It's so hard to get information on anything that's going on over there for some fucking reason. It's like they just don't want us to see it. I don't know why it's so damn hard to get information about over there, in Iran. Shit during Iraq and Afghanistan and all that other stuff seemed like somebody was there all the damn time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe both sides are in on it.
Maybe so. Well, I'm sure Iran, they probably still got their internet and shit shut down. I don't know. But here's Israel using white phosphorus.
This is extremely disturbing. It's being reported that Israel is firing white phosphorus in southern Lebanon. Now that's chemical warfare. White phosphorus has to be stored underwater because as soon as it interacts with oxygen, it becomes extremely toxic and dangerous. Now while white phosphorus can be used for smoke and illumination, its use as an incendiary weapon in populated civilian areas violates international humanitarian law. Now check this out. Exposure causes severe burns down to the bone, respiratory damage, and multi-organ failure. What's also very strange is 3 weeks before this war even started, Israel was seen flying their planes over agricultural areas in South Lebanon, spraying glyphosate at 30 to 50x what would be considered safe.
I don't know why they think they gotta fuck with everybody.
Well, and doing it the way they're doing it.
They remind me sometimes of the kid that would, run up to you and hit you, and then when you go back to hit him back, then he was a smaller kid and you were like an older kid and he kept doing it and you finally hit him back and then you got in trouble. It's almost what it's like, except they're killing people. Whenever you kill somebody back, then you get in trouble. This is and they started talking about war crimes, and this is why I started looking at this. So I seen this video that I'm about to show you first. This video it's about 4 minutes long, but it gives a good insight from this guy, Mehdi Hassan. He's a British American broadcaster and journalist. He's on Piers Morgan. And he starts talking about war crimes that the Israeli, the IDF and shit, have done during, their whatever the hell is going on right now, the war or whatever. Whenever they were fighting Gaza. I don't even know what you would call that when they were fighting Gaza. But they have a guy from the IDF, a former guy that was on IDF that's on there that he's talking to. So when I read that, I started looking into what kind of war crimes they might be aware of. And that's when I came across the white phosphorus. And then there was another one that I come across that we're going to get to in a minute, because it was pretty fucked up. But once
You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm an American. You asked the question. I know you can't handle brown people, being part of the West. I'm an American. I barely started, but he doesn't want people to hear what's going on. Israel attacked Iran first. In Syria, they bombed an Iranian consulate in violation of the laws of international law and international diplomatic law. Yeah, they killed Iranians in Iran. They then bombed Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. They bombed the Iranian capital. And then they bombed Beirut and killed a senior Iranian general. So actually, it was Israel that's been provoking. So we're going to talk about lectures. You should keep your lectures to yourself and be embarrassed for the government you served. As for you living in the region, the problem is not you living in the region. The problem is the army you served and the country you were a spokesman for illegally occupies other people's lands in the West Bank, in Gaza, in the Golan Heights, now in Lebanon again. You are the country that is illegally occupying other people's lands. It's not about you living in your homes, it's about you taking other people's homes. It's about Israel now aiming to annex Gaza, according to Haaretz this week, that Netanyahu no longer has any interest in saving the hostages, as he never did, and is eyeing annexation of Gaza, to quote the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. I'm not sure how Jonathan still comes on these shows and defends that kind of barbarism and open war crimes. I'm not sure how Jonathan sleeps at night watching people burn to death thanks to the military that he served and is now being investigated both at the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. That is what you stand for. You serve the IDF, the Israeli military, which, as I say, is being investigated at the ICJ, and the ICC. You serve a military that has been credibly accused by the United Nations just last week, by Israeli media, which showed videos of mass rape of Palestinian detainees. The New York Times this week reported that your military sent children, Palestinian children, as human shields into booby-trapped tunnels and buildings. Is that what you did, Jonathan? Can you tell us today, did you ever send a Palestinian child as a human shield into a tunnel? Because the New York Times is saying your military did that. The World Food Programme is saying your military is starving the people of northern Gaza. Did you starve people when you were in the military, Jonathan? What do you stand for? Starvation? Mass rape? Ethnic cleansing? Genocide? Every human rights group in the world says your military is an abuser of human rights. I don't know how many human rights you yourself have personally abused. I don't know if you turned a blind eye to rape on your custody. I don't know if you killed children at cold blank, at point-blank range like Israeli snipers did to people carrying white flags. You can tell us today how many people you've killed or how many people you've tortured. I'll be here all day.
Listen.
But the issue is you're bombing areas of tents and hospitals. You've bombed refugee camps, as Piers pointed out. You've bombed schools, as I've pointed out, and you've dodged. You bombed a Lebanese Christian town and killed 23 people from one family, including 2 babies. You've bombed UN peacekeeping soldiers from Ireland and Italy who are not Hamas or Hezbollah either. Israel is bombing people deliberately. We don't need your word for that. We've seen hundreds of TikToks, including my company, Zateo, that you happily mentioned earlier, put out an entire documentary interviewing Israeli soldiers and showing the TikToks of them bragging about their violence inside of Gaza and now Lebanon. You talk about low-hanging fruit. Let's just be clear here on the facts, since people are not going to get the facts, because as you've read my book, you know there's a tactic called gish galloping, which is what you just did, which is to talk over all the facts without engaging with them. Here are the facts that people can go look up for themselves. Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, the UN Human Rights Office, UNICEF, UNHCR, Save the Children, World Food Programme, WHO, Doctors Without Borders, I can keep going, Refugees International, International Rescue, they all, Care International, Christian Aid, Physicians for Human Rights, they all say the Israeli military is to blame for the casualties, for the killing of innocent people, for not giving warnings, for bombing civilian targets, and for starving the people of northern Gaza. Right now, Save the Children say that northern Gaza looks like the depths of hell. The World Food Programme says no food has been allowed in by your government and your military since the start of October. And by the way, one last point. You mentioned, oh, maybe 10 soldiers did this, 10 soldiers did that. Actually, according to the UN, this stuff is systematic. And I would ask you asked me who my investors are, I'll ask you. You were in the Israeli military. You proudly said you were combatant. So I'm going to ask you, were you involved in the things the Israeli military is being accused of by the International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor, by human rights groups? Intentional killing of civilians, starving of civilians, the use of rape and sexual violence against detainees, using Palestinian children as human shields, as the New York Times reported this week. Did you do any of that when you were in your service, Jonathan Conrick?
So yeah, he had a lot to say about what all they did and all the war crimes they did, and it's like, man, that's some serious allegations.
Yeah. I never did really hear the dude. He tried to talk, but he never.
Well, they just showed his one side. They cut out Jonathan's back and forth to make it shorter.
Right.
I went back and I looked, and I can't say that all of them are true. I can say that I watched quite a few videos of nurses that work in Gaza that are like from Australia that was putting out videos explaining about the area and how awful it is, and how they feel so bad about the people that's been working there for the last 2 years because of all the death, and they don't have any clean ways to do anything, and it sounds horrible. Now I can't say who did what to whom, but there is this one group of guys. I think it was 5 of them. We're going to see in a minute. That won the investigation, but their war crimes were dropped. But I want you to hear what their war crimes were. Let's check this out.
I need y'all to repost this because it's going to get censored. The Associated Press reports that the Israeli military is dropping charges against 5 soldiers who were accused of SAing a Palestinian detainee. This headline does nothing to relay the seriousness and absolute evil that is taking place here, so let me give you more detail. These 5 soldiers weren't just accused of SAing a Palestinian detainee. They were caught on camera doing it, and the injuries to this person was so extensive that his anus and abdomen had been perforated with a knife. They SA'd him with a knife on camera, and the charges are being dropped. The arrest of these soldiers led to mass protests in Israel, not because of their actions, but because they were arrested for them. Israeli population rioted in the streets for the right to SA Palestinians in prison. Israel is a fundamentally sick society.
So they fucked the dude with a knife.
I was about to say, I think she SA'd a cob of corn with them teeth, or maybe a carrot. But no, that's if that did happen, that's not with her with the carrot or cob of corn, but or corn on the cob, but cob of corn. That's a weird. We will be having cob of the corn today. No, if they, yeah, that's. I don't understand that, man. There's some sick people. I mean, look what we did at Abu Ghraib, right? That prison over there in Iraq, where that unit was sitting there taking all them sexual pictures of the detainees over there.
Oh,
and
yeah, I remember now.
The National Guard unit. Yeah, dude, that's. I mean, why? I'm sorry, Brian. We did some weird stuff in the Marines. We did. Probably didn't need to have cameras around, but we didn't do anything close to that crap. And I'm not going to sit there and get the weights out and say our stuff wasn't any worse or was better than theirs. I'm not saying. I'm telling you, we did not do that kind of sick shit. I didn't see that sick shit happen.
No, I was not sticking no foreign object up somebody's ass. Just no. I don't want to be that intimate with no one.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say no one, but I mean, you know what I'm getting at. Just a random dude just sit there and fucking just shove shit up his. Well, no, I don't get that. I just don't get. I mean, you got to be too intimate with it. No. So,
what'd you do at work today, honey? I shoved a knife up a dude's butthole.
Yeah, that is just fucked up.
Yeah.
So, what is the goal of this war? If Israel is as fucked up as what I'm seeing, and we're just over there just bombing the shit out of Iran, and they don't have any idea what we're going to do when we're done. I hear that we're trying to save their oil. We don't want to destroy their infrastructure because we want them to get back on their feet. So, I mean, what is the end goal? Trump saying that, unconditional surrender. And from what I read on Iran, for what you can believe, they're basically saying that, we can sit here, we can take a long fight. You might just bust all our ass, but we're going to cripple your economy. And that's the reason why they're going so hard at the Strait of Hormuz. So what is the end goal?
I don't know. Gas is up.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So Trump saying that this is going to be a quick fight, right? So he's already talking about releasing oil from the strategic oil reserve. He's already worked with Russia, which I'm not faulting him for that. He's already working with Russia for releasing the sanctions on them for at least 30 days so they can sell oil to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking China and these other countries to come in and help with the Strait of Hormuz. So if this makes me question if we destroy Iran and Iran is, about to fall over, why are we having them? Wouldn't we have the Strait of Hormuz? We say we can have that open tomorrow. Why do we need all this extra help? You see what I'm getting at? I mean, why are we having to look at all these secondary, what you call it, plans of action? First plan of action is we go over there, kick the ass, we come home. You keep saying we destroyed everything. We done blew up all their army, all their navy, all their air force, destroyed 6,000 targets. Okay,
Right.
at that point, can we just come home now? I mean, Israel, we gave Israel a big enough head start. I mean, go ahead, take up what you can. But I think now they're gonna hang that Strait of Hormuz over us because if we don't open that, gas prices are going to keep going up. It's going to destroy the world economy. They're going to throw all this shit at us for us to stay over there. Which, if I'm Iran, that's a hell of a strategy. That's not a bad strategy at all. Fuck, we're going to lose, but we're going to go out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where do you think this goes?
I don't know, man. I think it's just endless stuff again. They're all endless. Even if we pull out of something, they're still a mess. Nothing ever turns out the way we're told it's going to turn out, so I don't know.
I guess you can't really control I think that's what we can't really understand yet is we can't control the outcome of basically anything. Because once you can't control the reaction of someone else.
Right.
No matter what your intentions are, whether they're good or bad, even if you thought they were good, they might think they're bad, or vice versa. No. All right. So you remember when we went over Operation Mockingbird,
Mm-hmm.
and I showed you all that left leaning shit? This is why I have trouble following mainstream media. This is what I call the right wing Operation Mockingbird. Watch, check this shit out.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers.
We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short-term.
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 Short-term. Short-term and long-term.
Short-term.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefit.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
So who are they trying to convince, us or them?
Like, it's all that they keep pounding those words in our head. You know what I'm saying?
No. You think that there's something they don't want you to see? They want you to, hey, look, we got this under control. You're going to suffer for a little bit. Yes, gas prices are going to go. Everything's going to go up.
Yeah.
But it's just, you just got to take that little bit of pain, and it's going to get so much better.
So we can have the long-term gain. Not us, but them. They're going to get the long-term gain with our short-term pain. And it's not short-term. Nothing went back down.
It's not going to go back down.
Go look at 9/11. It never went back down.
It's not. Inflation's just set up that way. It's not going to go back down.
Yeah.
Once inflation's in there, it's cooked into the price. You're not getting that back. You can slow it down. Well, you might be able to get inflation, but you would have to blow up a lot of fucking organizations. I mean, the system, more should I say. Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I was reading. I didn't get a chance to finish reading the article, but it was talking about how we're actually $100 trillion in debt instead of 38 trillion when you actually look at the money and not what they're just showing. I didn't get a chance to go through it all, so I didn't want to discuss it with you tonight. About like, it's possible.
It's possible to pay that
It's
off.
possible. It ain't possible to pay it off by no means. No. Excuse me. So let's talk Charlie Kirk real quick. So Candace believes that Israel was responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And honestly, I'm starting to lead that way also. But what leads me to believe this is I've been seeing like a bunch of videos that talk about how the younger people in the U.S. are not buying into Israel or, and this is bothering the Israeli cause. You know, they'll mention that the young generation doesn't know about the Holocaust. And even Bibi Netanyahu, I played a couple of videos on here about them saying how they want to control social media. And Charlie was part of the Zionist group, and according to Candace, he caught wind, and he was stepping away from it. But of course, with him stepping away from it, I do believe they put a target on his head. But could it be because he has such a following that they had to maybe hijack that following to get those kids in? Because they needed a way to get younger people. And I'm going to play a video from Ted Cruz that kind of hits on what I'm talking about, because they're constantly saying something about getting younger kids. And Candace, she keeps bringing up all these reasons why they would kill him. But one of the reasons I can think of is, they hijacked Turning Point U.S. They did. Since Charlie died, they hijacked Turning Point USA. And could it be because they wanted those young kids? Now those young kids are following this shit blindly. I wouldn't think that they would, continually follow blindly. There's so much information out there now, but I don't know. Let me show you what Ted Cruz had to say.
This poison is spreading. There are pastors who love Israel who think all is fine, and my message to them is go and talk to the teenagers in your congregation. Go and talk to the 20-somethings in your congregation, because they're picking up their phone and they're watching TikTok and they're watching Instagram and they're hearing this message being driven, and it is resonating. And if you want an illustration of this, several weeks ago, J.D. Vance was down at Ole Miss at a Turning Point gathering, and one kid got up, asked this viciously anti-Semitic question. The most horrifying thing to me is what happened in the second later, which is the crowd erupted in applause. Not everybody. My guess is 20 to 30% of the kids there were applauding the viciously anti-Semitic question. A week or two later, there was another event with Eric and Laura Trump at Auburn University. A kid got up and said, I can do even better, and asked such an anti-Semitic question, it was filled with lies. Every word of the question was a lie, including and, but, and thee. And again, instantaneously, the reaction was the same. 20 to 30% of the kids began cheering. Now, here's the warning sign to hear. This was not a gathering at Berkeley. This was not a gathering at Yale. This was at Ole Miss and Auburn. These are a bunch of big old frat guys that are just looking to make a friend on Saturday night, who have heard the message. We are such a team. We're so polarized. We're so bifurcated that what worries me is young people that get the message, oh, our team, we hate Israel. That is dangerous.
That's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous for the cause.
Hey, they want to control speech so damn bad. And you don't have to control speech whenever you're telling the truth.
Right.
That's just how I feel. Now, I'm not saying that a bunch of lies can't get out there and, you believe it's the truth, but when you're saying the truth, you don't really have to control speech.
No.
And what happened to MAGA? Seriously, it seems like with this shit with Israel, with Iran and all, it's getting more magnified, I guess you say, that there's the MAGA movement is just I ain't gonna say the people, but the politicians that were leading it are just different now. Check this one out.
This is the end of something. Voters take a guy from completely outside the political system because they're so frustrated with the system. And now I think we can say that failed.
It truly was revolutionary. He was almost assassinated. There were all of these potential indictments against him. The sheer imagery and idea of somebody like that being able to ascend again to the highest office of the land is insane. You have Doge and you have Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth. These people were seen as revolutionary actors who were going to come in and throw a bomb inside of the system. But then, if you watch the U.S. government do the exact same thing that it did under all these past presidents, your revolution starts to look a lot more like the status quo, which was deeply hated and which you exploited to your great political benefit.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Trump. I mean, we expected him to come in and drain the swamp, and you said it before, just pull the fucking plunger out the tub.
Yeah.
And let the son bitch go down, and it doesn't.
It's right there for the pulling.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that
he walks by it every day and sees the chain, and he just won't pull it. So that tells me somebody is controlling him.
Now, I've read reports that, people are condemning that statement, that no one's controlling Trump. And then that was my thought again. You shouldn't have to come out and say that. You should be working at a level that no one would ever question that. That makes sense, because that's why we voted that man in.
Yeah. I feel like the first time we voted him in, I didn't feel like he was being controlled.
No. And maybe because he wasn't as ambitious. He was spending so much time fighting the Russia collusion and everything else they were throwing at him that he didn't have a chance to be as ambitious. And the other thing, and I'm not trying to protect him, is he's only as good as the information he's given, just like any of us. And he has to make a lot of decisions. And who's to say that he's not getting shitty information? I don't know. But when I see shit like this is J.D. Vance, back during 2024. This is what I voted for. Check this out.
But when people like Kamala Harris send our sons and daughters, our young people, to fight in stupid wars, it is the young generation that carries the burden of that. We're going to stop sending our young people to faraway lands. We are not the policemen of the world. We need to use our young people here at home.
But if you're worried about the world spinning out of control, if you're worried about a military draft, if you're worried about, God forbid, a world war, the best way to prevent it is to vote for Donald Trump.
So that's what they told us.
That's not what I'm seeing.
No. And I mean, then they get mad when people talk shit about it.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing so good. I'm not saying he's doing everything bad, but I mean, this is the reason why we voted for him. And here's Trump himself. This is him in 2024 and then his press secretary on the draft.
She would get us into World War III because she is too grossly incompetent to do the job, and then all of your sons and daughters will end up getting a draft notice, a thing called a draft. Dad, what's this? Oh, congratulations, you've been drafted into the military. You're going to fight a war against a country that nobody's ever heard of.
Carol, I want to get your take about this idea of troops on the ground. Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table. But as commander-in-chief, there's no greater priority or responsibility to this president than, of course, protecting the American people and protecting our troops and our bases in the Middle East, which Iran has been threatening for 47 years. They have.
So he is so smart. That's the reason why he's just going to leave the draft on the table.
Well, you don't take nothing off the table, Brian.
I think you can take that off the table.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be? Look,
Yeah.
we don't even need to be there. Look, we're there to support them.
Right.
No, there's no reason for us to ever have a draft to go over there.
Yeah.
You know,
We're only
not for
doing
the-
it with what we have. We're not bringing more.
No, we're not going to take that off the table. No, you should be able to take that off the table. That's what bothered me on that one.
Yeah. And she's like a cheerleader.
Well, I mean, she kind of has to be.
I know.
You know?
She's nowhere near like that Pierre girl.
No.
That girl just straight lie. Just, dude, it was lie after lie. It's like,
Yeah, she was not a good lie. I think most of them that are good, they lie by omission, so they're really not lying.
yeah.
You know, the other one, though, Jean-Pierre, whatever she was,
Yeah.
she just,
That DEI hire.
yeah, she just couldn't.
Just gonna be honest. That's all it was.
It was
we were
bad.
DEI hiring everybody, dude. I almost got a job doing something. I don't know what it was, but they were gonna give me special needs, ex-Marine from Kentucky, inbred. Let's give you some.
First inbred ever to be in this position.
Yeah. Does it involve my sister? Yeah.
I'm breaking glass ceilings.
Yeah. licking windows and eating crayons.
All right. Well, we're going to take a sharp turn from there. I'm going to skip over the Rothschilds and shit. We'll go over that next week. But I wanted to get in some of these third world country things that I wanted to show you. This next one I call the Haji weapon of mass destruction. I think you're going to enjoy this one. Watch, check this shit out.
Hajis.
Shit, man.
Yeah, I've seen them cats before using tractors and all that stuff. Them dudes are crazy.
You seen the double barrel?
No, I haven't seen the double barrel. The same people.
That's the same people. They're going to run a double barrel now.
Oh, crap.
Nope.
Oh.
And then I got one more. I call this one the game of chicken. Watch the guy in the middle. He gets smoked.
Oh.
Yeah, you know that didn't feel good.
No, I don't care if they were playing around or not. That hurt. That's like that's the Haji jackass right there, dude. Is that like whatever their version of that would be?
Yeah, that's what I would think of when I think of like third world like weapons.
Right.
Like when I was growing up, you would see like these wars in the Middle East, and the kids would be throwing rocks and shit at people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I think of, whenever I see that. I think that's the technology upgrade from rocks.
Right.
Shooting fucking. I don't understand how they get the tires on there so damn well.
I
The
don't
damn thing
either.
running.
Like, yeah, with the thing with that audio coming off.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot of practice without getting fucking sucked up into that damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
I found this video I thought was pretty good. It's basically for younger people because I can't say it's basically it's made for everyone, but it actually shows the light for younger people because they probably have more screen time than us older people. But it's pretty interesting. Let's check this shit out. It's basically how you're wasting your life on a screen.
The dots on this screen represent an adult life in months, assuming a life expectancy of 90. So if you're 18 years old right now, this is an optimistic estimate of the months that you have left. Take a second to take that in. Probably not as many as you would expect. And I'm sorry to say that it does get worse, because about a third of that time is going to be spent sleeping. On average, 126 of those months will go to school and your career. About 18 will be spent driving, 36 cooking and eating, 36 doing chores and errands, and about 27 in the bathroom and taking care of personal hygiene. So that leaves you with 334 months. This is where you pursue your passions and travel the world and leave your mark. How you spend this time is going to determine the quality of your life. So take a second and ask yourself, what do you want to do with that free time? Now, I would be willing to bet that scrolling through TikTok, binge watching Netflix, and playing video games probably did not come to mind. But today, the average 18-year-old in the United States is on pace to spend 93% of their remaining free time looking at a screen. Imagine getting to the age of 90, seeing this visualization of how you spent all your time after the age of 18, and thinking about all the things you could have done that you did not do because you got distracted.
That's
Pretty
a
eye-opening.
buttload of screen time.
Yeah, and if you got any younger kids, or if you are the younger person, I mean, look into that. I mean, look into how much time you actually spend on the screen versus actually living life. We was at the Gary Owen concert, the comedy show earlier, and that's what you're not allowed the videotape. And Jen said, you know, it's so nice being able to watch a show without looking through somebody else's phone, because a lot of concerts we go to, everybody got their phones up the whole damn time, and when you're trying to see the stage, you basically got to watch it through their damn phone. And it just, people just living in the moment and enjoying themselves instead of trying to record something to show somebody later that don't really even give a shit about what you're showing them. Just
Right.
enjoy your time. You know, it's not that important.
You ever addict to those people and be like, hey, can you zoom in on this, or start
No, it
taking
don't really
requests?
bother me that much anymore. At first, it used to bother me, but now it's everybody. I mean, everybody. The band starts and all the phones come up. It's
Wow.
like, this is ridiculous. It doesn't. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And it's not like they just taking pictures. They're videoing the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah.
What are you video? You here? Enjoy it. Yeah.
Right.
And I got one more thing I want to share with you tonight. It's this Marine. These robbers come into this convenience store. I don't know if you've seen this, but this Marine veteran puts an end to it real quick. So I want to share that with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you don't hesitate. That motherfucker did not hesitate 1 second. He turned around,
Right.
saw the threat, and fucking just went straight at him.
Yep.
That's impressive. And I don't suggest people go out there and do that. I mean, he
Right.
got away with it. The guy didn't shoot him, you know. But it is nice to see someone out there, you know, helping out in public situation.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the kid was in the right or anything by saying this, but that, you know, he could have never had an intention of firing that weapon, was just using it as a show of force to get money. And you know, like Brian said, I mean, if you're not trained to do that and that ain't in you, don't do it and be a hero, because that weapon could have accidentally fired.
Yep.
What-
You can tell that man right there, that Marine, he already accepted his fate in life, that he knows he's
Yep.
going to die one day.
Yeah, and that's
know.
training.
Yeah.
Some military people, Army, Air Force, different units have that kind of training, and I would have just gave him a grease pencil and some monkey cum and said, "There, have at it."
Like, hey man, this
Can you
ain't
write
this ain't
backwards?
on me, right? Hey, look,
Yeah, right backwards on that plexiglass.
Yeah, can I get my 12 pack of beer before you rob this
I'm just
place?
kidding.
Or
No.
if you're gonna rob this place, can I just leave?
Yeah.
You know, I got my beer.
Do I pay
I'm
him
not-
or do I give you my money? Which one do you want? I mean, I just want to get out of here with my stuff. But
Yeah,
no,
I'm not looking
be
for a
safe
fight
out
tonight.
there, everybody. Just be smart and be safe.
All right,
Kudos
I know it
to
was a
that
heavy
dude.
night, so I figured I would, end with some stuff. I just hope I shed a little light, or we shed a little light on, what's actually going on in the Middle East. Again, I'm not a Middle East expert, but I found some of that shit interesting, and they don't really tell us everything that's going on over here, nor do I know anything that's going on over there. But we know history,
Mm-hmm.
and we can look at history to see where all this shit started. And I'm sure if we keep pulling this string, we can go further and further back on that. And I didn't want to get that deep into it, but we asked the question last week on why they could hate us, and I figured I'd look into it. And I didn't think I was going to get that much information out of it, but
That's good.
it was a lot. So I figured I'd share it with everyone.
Mm-hmm. It's 2
Right.
a.m., Brian.
Yeah, I know, man.
We got done at
did.
2.
Yeah, I moved around a lot of shit to make sure we can get through this son of a bitch because it's been a long night. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
All right. You got anything?
No.
Well, everyone, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We will greatly appreciate you hanging with us. Like, share, comment, subscribe. This is the Senseless Senseless Podcast. I am Brian.
And I am Jason. And I
He is Jason.
See you.
Peace.
Peace.